Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club's Best Bet Seminar. My name is Frank Scatoni, and I am joined each week by a special guest to discuss the best betting opportunities on Sunday's card. Just to let you know, this is not a traditional selection show. We're not going to talk about every race. We're just going to look at specific races and wagering strategies that offer the best opportunities to make a decent score. If you're watching us right now live, feel free to leave us a comment or ask us any questions. But the show will also be archived on Del Mar's Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube platforms. So you can always check us out there, and I'll retweet some of the stuff so you can pay attention throughout the day. So without further ado, let me introduce the very first guest of this live stream, a good friend of mine and one of the most fearless players I know, Leo Vukmanovic. Leo, how are you?
I'm doing great, Frank. It's a pleasure to be joining you to kick off the meet. It was great hanging out with you yesterday. I got my suntan on, and I think what was really good is just being at Del Mar after not being able to go there at all to attend last year.
We had a great time. The vibe was great on opening day. The vibe was great yesterday. Good competitive racing, big full fields. I know you made a little money yesterday, and we talked about certain things to look for based on the first 2 days of racing that more like general observations that I know you want to share with our listeners. So why don't you talk about what you've learned from the first 2 days of watching the races and playing them here at Del Mar?
Yeah. So what transpired? I think a lot of the trainers held out for the beginning of Del Mar, so we had big fields. There was great value. There's been great payoffs. One of the things that I've observed that's been traditional the last few years for sure, but always even longer, the 30 plus years I've been going there, is there really I felt was a track bias on the main track,
Right.
where I felt like the farther you were outside, the better opportunity you had to really punch it home. And it started off in the first race on Friday, where there was a horse it was a horse that's trained by Steve Miotti that ended up, sitting and tracking and coming around four wide and getting up for a nice score for him to kick off the meet. And then the other thing, in addition to the track bias, that I thought is something new, but they've always had the ship and win program, but I think it's changed. Some of the rules have changed, where there's a new twist, where as if you claim and lose a horse, you're still going to get paid in the original orders. We'll get the ship and win bonus money. So yesterday was a good example. There was 3 winners that shipped in yesterday. 2 by Michael Maker, where I think he's geared up for the meet, where I think he's going to be live with anything he sends out. So in addition to getting $4,000 for showing up, you're getting an additional 40% of the purse, which means you get the whole entire purse. And I think there's going to be a lot of those that show up. And then don't be afraid if you see one that gets claimed for 50 and ends up for 32, or gets claimed for 32 and ends up for 16, because of the amount of bonus money that's injected.
Yeah, all the bonus money built into the program is just it's so lucrative. And not only, we talked about this yesterday, not only do you get the bonus money for when you race, but if your horse gets claimed and they come back and win their next start, you still get some more bonus money, right? As the original person who brought the horse to California.
Right, and that's something new to this year. So
yeah, so it's really important to look at shippers.
Yeah,
right. We saw the 2 Maker horses yesterday. We saw Todd Fincher win one yesterday with a maiden. And we talk about trainers. One of the things that I noticed, another thing that I noticed from the first 2 days, there's been a lot of parity. We've seen a lot of different trainers winning races. I know Maker won 2 yesterday, but we've seen a bunch of different names winning, which I love. Whenever there's parity, you can find good value. So I thought that was another observation to take note of. Let's go back to the bias for a second. Because you and I have discussed this in the past. We've noticed that the outside lanes are typically favorable, especially in sprint races, for most of the week, except on the late post on Friday, right? It seems like the track in years past has changed a little bit and become a little bit more speed favoring on those days. We'll see if that trend continues with the late post coming up for the first time coming up this week. But is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of track bias and in your handicapping?
No, I think you make a great point. I look back at some of the data that I have, and I can remember on some of those late Friday nights. I always like to attend Fridays. That's usually when I do attend the races there, because I work in Irvine and I'm halfway there and it's 4 o'clock, and you got to get an early start. But that's there's been a trend there, and so I think that's something to look out for next Friday, where maybe you see a shift just because of late in the day, and that's been. Del Mar's been notorious for that, and a lot of people say it has to do with the tide and and the weather there, which I agree with.
All right, so there are two things to look for as in your handicapping going forward. Pay attention to how the races are being run early in the card. Help make informed decisions later in the day as far as biases or no bias, which might be the case as well. And then really pay attention to the Ship and Win program. Those horses have been very live and will probably continue to be live throughout the meet, just because it makes great economic sense to run your horses under the Ship and Win bonus. So let's dig right into the races. We've got an 11 race card today with a really good mix of dirt and turf races, an assortment of all levels and distances. So there's something for everyone here. 2 stakes races. We've got the Wicker on turf. We've got the Cougar 2, which is a grade 3 on the main track at 12 furlongs. Those are the stakes races today, but I know you like a couple of races on the undercard. And when you told me the races, I looked at it and I realized that they were all 5 furlong races. So it'll be interesting to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about race 3. I know that's the first race that you have an opinion in. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, well, the other thing that you observed while we were just waiting to get started was if Trevor McCarthy has a big day, then I'm going to have a big day, because
Right.
the 3 horses I like, he's on. So let's hope he's rare and ready to go. Yeah.
And Trevor McCarthy, for those who don't know, came from the East Coast and is being represented by Derek Lawson, who used to be Flavien Prat's agent. So Derek knows what he's doing. So Trevor could possibly end up on some live mounts today. If he has a big day, you're going to have a big day.
That's great. So the kickoff, one of my best bets is in the third race is Beautiful Ballard, the 2 horse, and he's been off, I think, for 500 plus days. But one of the things I leverage Andy Harrington's workout reports. I've been a subscriber to him for several years now, and he's my eyes that in the morning, and I really leverage him. And what I do with his report is, a lot of people just focus on the grades, but I really dig into the comments. And I think one thing that's important too is that I like to leverage the fact that horses that are not doing well, to eliminate them. And then the other thing I like to look at is you could print 90 days or longer as well, to get some sort of patterns of the horses doing in the morning. Now, some horses are morning glories and they don't run to their works, but I think it's a good indicator to help you to make some good bets, and it gives me a lot of confidence when I get the works the night before at 7 o'clock. And this is a horse that off a long layout has been snappy and zippy, and he's ready to go. And I think he's just going to come out running. If you look at his last race, he ran a sprint on the main track at Sunland. So he qualifies for the Ship and Win. So that's one of the reasons where I like him. He's dropping into a tag for the first time, but Mark Platt does well with these long layout types, and I just think too he's on the better part of the track on the inside, going 5 furlongs in the sprint. And the other thing I like the most is he's lined at 10-1, so you're going to get a price on him. So I think he's got a good shot from the inside. I know the horse inside of him is super fast, but I think he's just going to get like a nice tracking trip from there. And then the other horse I like in the exact is the 5 Anonymously. I think he's worked well. He's dropping. into a tag two as well. So I think he's going to prompt run his best. And one of the things I learned over the last couple of days is normally at Santa Anita, I really like to focus on the pick five, and if I get knocked out of the first leg, I will play a pick four. But one of the things that you and I talked about yesterday that I think is important is to really shorten up those bets, right? Where betting doubles or betting pick threes. I missed an opportunity yesterday in the late pick five where in the sixth race, which was the race prior to the late pick five that started the pick six, I played a pick three. I missed. I went outside, but I didn't go all the way outside. And I didn't use the 10, but came through with the next two winners. And if I would have rolled, I had the Maker horse was 10-1. Then there was the Slam Dunk horse that was morning line at 15-1 Ginobili, and then 6-1. I missed that opportunity for making a score on the pick three, where I think it came back like $345 for 15 cents. So think about shortening up those bets and making doubles and maybe even pick threes and then exactas as well.
Yeah, you can. I'm sorry. I was going to say you can certainly still play the pick four, the pick five, and those multi-race sequences, but don't forget to come back and press your opinions in the doubles and the pick threes. And we talked about this. The reason you're getting such good value because the races are competitive and the field sizes have been so good. So there were a couple of races yesterday where we looked at we tried to guess what the exacta of the try was going to pay, and we were way off. They paid way more than we thought they were going to pay. So there's been some very good value there. So I like that point about shortening up the bets. Yeah, you can try and hit your home run with the pick five, and that's great. But don't leave the other opportunities on the table with the double or the rolling pick threes throughout the day. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is, we were just talking about a 5 furlong turf race. And you said you liked the horse on the two because he's drawn inside and has speed. Glatt's terrific off a layoff. He always puts his horses in the right spot. Excellent trainer. Again, get the ship and win bonus here. But do you approach 5 furlong turf races differently? I have a little bit of a hard time with them. I did really well with the 6 and 6.5 furlong turf races at Santa Anita because I feel like with that added distance, the race can unfold a little bit easier. In my mind, I could read it a little better because I can see how it will unfold. The 5 furlong is a mad dash from the gate and chaos. Anything could happen. The horse makes the lead, never quits. How do you approach those types of races?
I think the shortest way around it, especially at Del Mar, is probably the best way around. But I think you still have to really focus on race shape to see, how if you're going to have a significant pace up front. I like what tends to happen. I think jocks think, okay, we're going 5, we got to be on the engine all the way, and sometimes they go way too fast, and then somebody sitting third or fourth and like I said, on the inside does well. I think the horses on the outside, if they go 3 or 4 or 5 wide, that's a challenge to get home. But
right,
yeah, I don't overthink. I don't overthink 5 versus 6 versus 6.5. I kind of like to stay on the inside, the sprints at Del Mar, but I don't overthink it. I just think they're on the grass, and if that's where they're racing their best, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Yeah, and just something to pay attention. The rail settings are at 0 feet today, but those will change throughout the meet, and obviously as the farther the rails move out, the tougher it is for the outside horses in the sprints. So it's just something to keep in mind.
So just to recap, I'm going to make a win bet on the 2 horse, and I'm going to make an exacta box with the 5 because I think he's a good price as well. And then I'm going to play some tries with the 2 and 5, and then I'm going to use the 6 and 9 as well for the tries. So that's to recap the third race.
Okay, so that's 2 Beautiful Ballad, 5 Anonymously, 6 Nightlife, and 9 Summer Love, with Beautiful Ballad being your key play at 10-1. All right, let's move on to the next race I know you like is race 4. It's a 5 furlong, $50,000 maiden claimer for 2-year-old fillies who are bred in the great state of California. Morning line favorite is number 8, Sally Stanford at 8-5. She's dropping in from the maiden special weight ranks where she showed speed and weakened to finish third twice, but she's getting some class relief here. I thought she looked pretty tough, but I know you're looking at someone else to try and beat her today.
Yeah, I think one of the things about the horse you mentioned is, one, the horse is on the outside part of the track, which I think is good. And then the thing about trainer Steve Miotti, he's he places the horses where he thinks he could win, right? And so he's from the Mike Mitchell. Um, he worked for Mike for years, and that was always one of Mike's strengths, where he always placed the horse where he think he could get the win and get the check. And like I've always discussed with him, there's nothing better than winning. And so, obviously, he's not afraid to drop. So I think that horse has got a good shot. And I think he's going to get really bet. I think he's going to get maybe even over bet. But I
agree.
I like the horse here. I like the 2-horse Dreamer Girl. Hector Palma, he's a very capable trainer. He's been pretty much cold. But one of the things I like is a good example about the workouts is this horse has a really good significant work, and he's woke up and he has that move on July 12th is a really big move for him and actually for her, this 2-year-old filly, and then also the drop in class, and this horse has been beaten twice by Sally Stafford, once by a couple of lengths, and then the last time with 5 lengths, and she's getting her 3rd different jockey, and then the negative things. The horse is on the inside, but I just with the wake up with the drill, I think the horse has worked even good previously before that, and then had some trouble. I think last time, hit the gate and shifted, and just really hasn't gotten out of the gate at all. And then compared to the competition in here, some of the other horses, there's nothing inviting with any of the other ones. So that's another reason why. And then I'm getting 5 to 1. So I'm going to make a good win bet on the 2. I'll probably bet a straight exacta maybe to the 8, and then I'm going to use the 6 horse in the tries. I think that horse, when he dropped to 50, when she dropped to 50,000, kind of moved up a little bit. So again, I'm going to make a win bet on the 2 horse, and then one other thing too that I'll probably do as well is have a double from the race before,
Right.
as well, from the 3rd to the 4th. Just each one of those horses I like the best. So.
I will say this: if there is another outside bias today, biases are typically less pronounced the shorter the distances, right? So I'm way less concerned about a horse being inside in a 5 furlong dirt sprint than I would be if it was 6, 6.5, 7 furlongs. So I'm not too concerned about that, especially since we talked about, even though Dreamer Girl has lost to the favorite twice before, she had a little trouble in the beginning of her races, right? She hit the gate, she had some issues early. If she gets out cleanly and is forwardly placed, she'll have every chance to turn the tables, I think, on the favorite.
I agree.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move to the next race that you have. Actually, I wanted to ask you one more thing, because you mentioned Steve Miotti. I know you've had horses with him, so you have a pretty good feel for his style of training and how he spots his horses and the patterns when his horses are building up to a big race. How important is that to you when looking at trainers and trying to suss out what they might be more proficient at?
Well, I think that's really important, and that's one of the reasons why I just stick to betting SoCal. I don't bet other tracks. I just focus on what's happening in Southern California, and as well as Golden Gate. I do like the Golden Hour bet, and so I think that's really important. And then we've developed, over so many years, I've just developed trainer angles and what some of the trainers do. I think it's been tough in Southern California for trainers, because a lot of times they'll place a horse just to run him, and if you could figure that out, a lot of times where they're just trying to keep the horse fit and trying to keep the horse happy and in shape, and they might be looking for a turf race and it doesn't show up, and then they end up running on the dirt. I've seen a lot of that this past year. So I think overall, all the trainers here in Southern California, they develop patterns, and then if you put the effort and the time in, you could pick up on those.
Okay, so let's move to the 8th race. I know you have another good opinion in here with a price horse. It's a Calbred maiden special weight for 2-year-old fillies, going 5 furlongs again on the main track. Morning line favorite is number 2, Co Olina, 9 to 5. Hope I'm saying that right. I'm not sure. Co Olina at 9 to 5. A horse who actually beat Open Maidens last time in wire-to-wire fashion at Santa Anita, but was DQ'd to second. She drifted out late. She bumped her rival. She got disqualified. She's trained by Louis Mendez. He wins a boatload of juvenile races, does a really good job with young horses. This filly definitely has the speed to wire the field, but there are also some first-time starters in here who might be able to run a little bit. So what's your opinion in this race, Leo?
Yeah, I mean, I actually bet that horse at 9-1, and you're not gonna get nowhere near that today, especially with her dropping into a cowbed race. I'm going elsewhere. I'm going to the horse on the outside, Lily Babe, and one of the angles that I really like that this horse has been through in his workout pattern is she's worked out 3 workouts within 10 days. So anytime I see a horse that works 5 days apart, that tells me that the horse is fit and that the horse is ready to go. And then in her last work, she popped the gate, so she's going to have some speed. The other thing I like is the jockeys work the horse as well, and then the horse is on the outside. So something that we talked about, and there's 8-1 morning line, so there's some value there. So I'm going to take a shot with Christian Mohl trained filly. She's really capable. I mean, over the whole past Santa Anita meet, she was clipping at a pretty good rate.
Yeah.
And she's a good horse conditioner and really knows how to get a horse ready. So that's who I'm going to focus on the win bet. And then the other horse that I like that I don't have any information on about as far as workouts. That she has, several bullets up in Golden Gate, and then Pratt shows up on is the 8, Bonita Leona, and I think the other thing that if you look at that, the horse is was purchased for $52,000. It's a Cal bred. Andy Mathis is a very capable trainer. He won the nightcap last night. So the horses that he's bringing down here to Del Mar, they're live. So I'm going to really focus on betting the 9 to win and just betting a strong exacta box with the 8 and the 9 in this 8th race with these 2-year-old Palbred fillies. And then from a trifecta perspective, I'm going to use the 1 and 2 there. I think the one horse comes off the rail at Los Al, which is bad, but ended up on the rail again, which I think is not as bad here. So I think you'll see some improvement. She was bet to 4.5 to 1, and then again, I think trying to keep the 2 out of the try might be tough. And then it's a 9-horse field, so you'll get some value. Like you said yesterday in the second race, we thought maybe the try would come back 30, and then ended up coming back almost 70.
For 50 cents.
Yeah. So that's kind of like where I stand for the 8th race.
I like that you mentioned the Golden Gate trainers, and it goes back to something I said a little bit earlier about parity. There was a time when horses from Golden Gate or trainers from Golden Gate would come down to Del Mar and they'd get blanked. They'd have no shot down here for whatever reason. But in the last several years, you've seen guys like Andy Mathis. We saw Tamayo win a race yesterday. Jonathan Wong brings horses down here and wins. It's a lot more of a level playing field over the last couple of years for whatever reason. So there used to be a knee-jerk reaction among horse players. Oh, this horse is from Golden Gate or this trainer's from Golden Gate. Toss him. Not the case anymore, especially with a guy like Andy Mathis, who's a really good trainer. He won a race yesterday. He won the nightcap yesterday, actually, at a good price. So something to pay attention to as the meet progresses. Keep an eye on those Golden Gate trainers. The other thing is, a lot of time those Golden Gate horses running on the synthetic, they're super fit when they come down here, right? Because they've been running on the synthetic track up north. So pay attention to that. I know you've given us 3 races to look at, and I love them. Do you mind if I throw something out here? I'll talk about the last race for a second.
Yeah, let's go for it.
The last race, race 11, my play of the day happens to come in race 11. I'm going to throw out a price horse that I really like. It's number 9, Cider Apple, in today's 11th race. She's 10 to 1 on the morning line. It's a pretty wide open race on paper. But if you want to find out why I like her, you can read my daily analysis on the handicapping page at dmtc.com. I do a daily analysis of the online contest race every day. We had a really, really good opening day with a $27 horse and a $76 exacta. Yesterday wasn't as good. It was really no value. A 5-2 won the race. But today I think there could be some prices in the nightcap. So check that out. I know Leah wanted to talk about a horse in the nightcap as well, who should also offer some value.
Yeah, I think I got an exacta box to take your horse, and the horse that I like is Lady Emily, the one horse. Here's another Michael Maker horse that, like I said, I think he's going to be firing everything he sends out here at Del Mar to make a name for himself. He's a very capable trainer, and so I look for her to run a really good race. So I'm going to do an exacta box with your horse and my horse, and get it.
And there's that name again, Trevor McCarthy riding. There you Trevor McCarthy can win 3 races today.
That's just coincidental.
I know. We talked about that a little bit yesterday because I was a little concerned in a turf race. I really liked a horse, but I wasn't particularly enamored with the jockey who was on the horse. But I bet the horse anyway because I really like the horse. And talk a little bit about that, how jockeys factor into handicapping or don't.
Well, for me, for all the years, I have opinions about jockeys, and I'm very opinionated when it comes to jockeys. I think what ends up happening is there's a set of certain jockeys that I have a lot of confidence when making a significant bet on. I don't shy away when I like a horse. I don't shy away from making a bet on a horse because of a jockey. And that I was trying to explain that to you yesterday, and because you had brought up about a horse, and I think you got to beat a nose at the wire.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I'm not betting jockeys because it's just one more thing that could get in your way with getting yourself off a horse.
Sure.
Or you like a horse. There's nothing worse than liking a horse and then not betting him because of the jockey, and the horse wins, and then goes off and pays $20 or something like that. So I tend to stay away from that. I do focus a lot on trainers. There's certain trainers that I really like to bet based on a lot of different angles that I have, and so I think I play a more significant betting when it comes to trainers. But I think the most important thing, or the one thing to take away, is to just keep your confidence level up. I mean, there's a lot of times where you're not gonna strike at a plus probably 50% win rate when betting every horse that you bet. And so a lot of times I'll get off to a slow start, and then I'll pick things up. So I don't let those slow starts affect me. I really just stick with my game plan throughout the day, and I start. One of the things you observed from me is I start early in the day. I'll show up to the track sometimes 3-4 hours ahead of time, and I'll have my work done, and I'll just be there. It's become part of my routine. I like getting out there and getting settled in. And I think what's important too that we talked a little bit about is just being in a good place that you like to be at. I like to be sitting somewhere where I can spread all my stuff out. I like to get a head-on view if I can of a live race because I can get a lot of good notes. You can really, in a head-on view, you can really see how your horse starts out. From the pan shot, you really don't. So there's a lot of things you could pick up from there for, if you're taking notes or doing any kind of trip notes. The head-on is really, really important. And so
also for picking up biases, you'll see if jockeys are riding far off the rail.
You'll see that where they'll start and then they'll come right in or they'll stay out, and that was one of the things that I want to look at over the last 2 days is just really figuring out how far the jocks are off the rail, and if the trainers are talking about it, they have to be giving instructions to their riders to get outside. And I think yesterday's last race was another good example, the grass race, where we saw a whole lot of speed in the race, and then everybody grabbed, and then the first fraction 49 to the half, and so it made it hard for some of the horses to close into.
Yeah, we joked about that. We said there's so much speed on paper, but watch, everybody's going to grab, and one horse is going to make the lead, and try to wire him through slow fractions, and that's exactly what happened. The horse who made the lead didn't win the race, but still, I was expecting a blistering pace in that race, but it was actually quite the opposite. It was probably the slowest turf fractions of in the first 2 days when it should have been the fastest.
Oh, I agree. So I think that's the thing too is just keep an eye on what's happening there, at Del Mar, and I think it creates opportunity for yourself.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Leo, for joining us, for sharing your wisdom with us. It's always great having you on the show. It was great seeing you yesterday, and thanks for watching, everybody. Good luck to us. And let's make some money. See you next Sunday at 11 a.m. for Best Bet. Bye.